Um, I I think a lot of it has to do with establishing the rules up front, um, making students aware of what bullying is, first of all, especially at an elementary school level. I'm not sure if students are really aware of that if it isn't talked about ever. So making sure to have assemblies, having classroom discussions, setting up expectations for the classroom on, what kind of language we use to one another to be kind and what sorts of things aren't okay. And then definitely establishing a zero tolerance policy across the board, which I know a lot of schools do now, which is awesome, but I'm not sure the follow through is always there. I think teachers a lot of times have the best of intentions, but if they do catch something, if someone's using a word to say something to someone else and they just kind of say, hey, don't do that, I don't know if that really gets the whole job done. So I think a lot of it has to do with follow through and making sure that they know what the consequences are of language against another student or bullying in particular, and then just making sure you really follow through with the consequences so that they know that it's not acceptable at
For educators, we do a number of different things. So we rent office space from ISEA, which is the state's largest teachers union, representing about 34,000 members, which is very significant in our state. And they're a large player in terms of teachers and professional learning. So we have a very unique partnership. It's the only of its kind in the country, where we offer online as well as in-person license renewal classes for educators. We cover about 30 different areas. Bullying and school climate is an incredibly complex subject, so we go over all those different areas with them. So in online class, they learn about things like privilege, white privilege, heterosexual privilege, male privilege. How does that play out into a school environment, as well as how does that play out when it comes to things like...
It's been helpful. It really has been helpful to identify when it, because the thing that's been helpful to me is to see if two kids are both having the problem, if they feel equal, or if one is dominating and that power, that issue of power in the relationship. That's what has helped me understand the difference between bullying and just two kids having a
process here in our school district. When students are state that they've been bullied, we have to go through an investigation process. And the investigation process entails working with the student, the parent, the counselor, and sometimes the police. And so then what happens is the student would be responsible for making or filing a formal report. And then whatever the student says, then we would interview witnesses if they're witnesses. We would interview the alleged bully. Again, depending on the nature of the incident, that would determine whether we get the police involved. But if the alleged bully was found like they're bullying the student, then what would happen is their information goes into a database, and then they're consequenced for their actions. And sometimes students are removed from a particular school and sent to another school if it's
really
if it's
The only way that you stop bullying is on a case-by-case basis. And you can't do it by anything other than loving the kids, by showing them that, like, they don't need to bring others down. And you do that by building them up and giving them an example of what it's like to feel loved and to feel appreciated and respected. If you try anything other than that, you're just treating the symptoms, not the cause.